And welcome to the President's Day edition of And They're Off. Later in the show, we will have a special appearance from the 16th President of the United States on his Stableboy. You know, Steve, it seems like horse racing just can never catch a break. Take the Winter Olympics, for example. No, we don't want to see racehorses down a snow-covered mountain. But why, oh, why can't Bob Costas get pink eye just before the Kentucky Derby? Why do Olympic fans catch a break and horse racing viewers have to watch this guy do insipid interviews year after year? Steve, just another example of horse racing just being unlucky.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I have no knocks against Bob Costas. I don't know what you don't like about him. Besides, racing already has a pink eye, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
Very good. Wow, Steve. Wow. Who said you didn't get to review this beforehand? That's very
I have
sharp.
nothing. I'm just so quick. It's just it comes fast, just like that.
It came and I went with it. All right. Speaking of announcers,
it came easy, and it went just as easy.
It went just as easy. Speaking of announcers, Churchill Downs has finally decided to make the move that its patrons have been clamoring for about 5 years now. Churchill has decided to replace track announcer Mark Johnson. They hired Larry Colmus, who we're all familiar with, to replace him. Churchill, which is, of course, in the heart of the Midwest, brought in the English-born Johnson after Lou Krybach died, and its customers have been wondering why ever since. Not only did the heavily accented voice of Johnson never fit at Churchill, the guy just wouldn't shut up. Before races, in between races, after races, it was like he thought he was hired to give a handicapping clinics or something. You know, just listen to this quote from Churchill Downs president Kevin Flannery. Quote, "We wish Mark Johnson the very best after 5 good years in the announcer's booth." Unquote. 5 good years. Wow. It's really high praise. Flannery could barely hide his emotion and enthusiasm. I think he then presented Johnson with a Timex for his 5 years of service. Steve?
Well, you're not going to get effusive praise from Churchill Downs. You're just knocking everybody today. Bob Costas and Mark Johnson. Listen, I never heard the guy on a daily basis, so I don't know. The only thing I do know is that he was the first person to catch Mind That Bird's move just at the time when I was saying to myself, who the hell is that? And then all of a sudden I hear Mind That Bird, and I go, Mind That Bird? Are you kidding me? So, I mean, his voice is still resonating in my brain. It's still embedded inside of me when he said, Mind That Bird. And I had no clue who that horse was. But on the other end, so I can't knock Mark Johnson, so I don't know. Again, I know there were complaints. But on the other end, I'm really happy for Larry Colmus. He's a great guy and a great announcer. And it was a great hire for Churchill Downs.
Larry is leaving Monmouth. He is staying at Gulfstream, so Monmouth's going to be looking for a new caller. But, yeah, Larry Collins has become the voice of horse racing. Let's face it, he does the 3 Triple Crown races on NBC. He's doing the Breeders' Cup on NBC. Now he gets to do not only the TV call of the Derby, but the live call at Churchill Downs. So congratulations to him. And Mark Johnson, happy trails. I just don't think he was ever a fit at Churchill Downs. So, all right.
Well, like you said, British, and Kentucky, that doesn't quite gel.
Steve, what a surprise! We had a son of Tapit win another stakes yesterday. That was the Southwest. Steve, do you see anything there from Tapiture? Strong mandate, a nice race.
Well, I got to say, I mean, I have to admit, I was skeptical of Tapiture's win in the Kentucky Jockey Club. He was a maiden going in. It was not a strong field. Horses came out of that race and ran dismally afterwards. So I just didn't know what to make of him. The speed figures weren't too good. So yeah, I was skeptical, but I have to admit, he looked awfully impressive. To draw away from a horse like Strong Mandate the way he did and come home his last 16th and 6-1. These Tapits are going crazy. Plus the fact that the horse's actual birthday is Derby Day.
Huh.
He was born on May 3rd. And, the whole thing with the Winchells, who owned, the Winchell family who owned Tappet. So who knows? We might get a story in the making there. The horse that had really befuddled me was Strong Mandate. Now, I know he lost ground early in the race, and obviously that didn't help him. So I could see him running second, first time out, needing the race. But boy, he was a mess in the stretch. I mean, he changed back to his left lead. He was drifting all over the place. I don't know. It was just a bizarre race from him. He's going to have to improve immensely to prove he's a 1.25 mile horse. But one thing I'll say, there was a big gap of 6 lengths to the third horse. So, when you see that, when you see a big gap from first to second and a big gap from second to third, then you got to figure it was a pretty good race. But all in all, I was very impressed with Tapiture.
Well, Wayne will run Strong Mandate 6 times before the Derby, so he'll iron out his problems. By a stroke of good timing, next week's Blood Horse is going to have a feature that I'm writing on Ron Winchell and his operation. And like you said, Steve, Ron Winchell raced Tappet and had the genius to keep 50% of Tappet when Tappet went to stud, which means he's ringing up the cash register on a very regular basis now. But a funny story about Tapiture, Winchell's farm manager, David Fisk, looked at him as a yearling in April. They were going to consign him to the Keeneland September sale. He looked so terrible that they decided not to consign him to the sale. They thought they were going to have to give him away, which they didn't want to do with the son of Tappet. So they ended up keeping him, not putting him in the sale. And by September, he actually started to come around and look good. So by those vagaries, there he is. They get to race him instead of sell him. And bingo, next thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. So there you go, the vagaries of horse racing. So.
Well, that's the whole thing. When these horses are young, they develop, and that's what separates the good pin hookers from the bad ones, is to see what it looks like in the future. I mean, a lot of horses have a lot of issues when they're young, and they grow out of them, and they grow into beautiful looking horses and sound horses, and you have to be able to spot that early on. So, but that is quite interesting.
They made the right choice there, so good luck with Ron Winchell and his operation with Tapiture. They also have Untappable, by the way, another Tappet, this one a filly running in the Silver Bullet Day this weekend.
I want to quickly mention, by the way, one other horse in the El Camino Real Derby with Tamarando. I mean, not only does he make California Chrome look better, but this horse is a heck of a horse. I mean, he's won from 5.5 furlongs to 1 mile and 16th. He's won on all kinds of synthetic surfaces on dirt. He's a really nice horse that people have forgotten. Another really good Calbred this year. But the fact that he was able to win the way he did going wide, it certainly moves California Chrome up. And it was not a bad race. He beat a good horse too and Dance with Fate. So that was not a bad race.
All right. Good for the Golden State. Good for racing when California's involved. All right.
Yes. And Kobe's back looked good, winning the San Vicente, coming off that horrible race in the cash call. So, again, the same connections as Candy Boy. So it's going to make things interesting there, what they do with that horse if he stretches out at all.
Kobe's back, came back before Kobe Bryant did. All right, for the 900th year in a row, it seems a virtual lock. The Kentucky legislature will once again fail to vote on a bill leading to casino gambling in the state. While politicians are famous for being cowards, these people really do take the cake. They don't even have to vote up or down on casinos. They just have to vote to allow a statewide vote where the people of the state would decide whether to allow casino gambling in Kentucky. These politicians won't even do that in a state that ranks about 53rd out of 50 in spending on education, has a bankrupt pension system, and has a signature industry, and yes, that's horse racing, folks, that is wilting away as its race circuit disappears into Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and everywhere else that has casino gambling helping out with purse funds. So there you have it, from a place where it's legal to handle poisonous snakes in church, but we're allowing casino gambling is just too risky. All right. Joining us now in honor of President's Day is our favorite dead president, Honest Stableboy. Sir, your movie career seems to be slowing down a bit. Any word on a sequel to Abe Lincoln Vampire Slayer?
As they say, I'm between jobs. Why else would I agree to do your show? Actually, I just signed to do a car commercial with Bob Dylan for next year's Super Bowl. Is it me, or does he look older than I do?
Is that commercial for Lincoln?
Hey, I get the punchlines.
Sorry, Mr. President. We always like for you to comment on the hot issues of the day.
Shoot! You know what I mean.
We're having this debate on LASIX.
Still? That's been going on longer than one of General Grant's whiskey binges.
Well, horse racing likes to discuss these things.
Hey, I debated Douglas for 6 hours, but eventually we shut up.
You seem to have an attitude today, Mr. President.
I was up all night inventing a line of toys.
Really? What's that going to be called?
Washington logs. What do you think it's gonna be called?
Do I sense some presidential jealousy?
Why? Because he gets the nation's capital named after him, and I get some hole in Nebraska, and Abe Vigoda?
He's a fine actor.
I hate actors.
Well, I suppose that's understandable.
Daniel Day-Lewis thinks he can play me. I'll stick my left foot in his backside. Is this about over? I'm doing the Bethany show today. They're giving me a facial.
You might have to shave for that.
Only if she goes first.
All right, Mr. President, it's been an honor, as usual. There he is, the great, honest Stableboy. Steve, he just seems to be getting more learned every year, doesn't he?
Wow. I could have recited the Gettysburg Address for 15 times in that time.
Oh, boy, that is funny. Okay. From our shameless plug department, my novel, Long Way From Home, is out and available at Amazon.com. So if you've ever enjoyed the humorous stylings of And They're Off, you might well enjoy this book, which has plenty of comedy and drama in it. It's a bargain at about $11 at Amazon, and I will guarantee you'll love it, or else Steve will refund your money.
I can tell that. Without having read the book, I will assure everybody right now that the book is ingenious, from the ingenious mind of Mr. Shulman. I know it's a great book. Go out and get it now.
Yours is in the mail, Steve, so don't panic. All right, we want to thank our viewers. We want to thank our sponsor, Darby Dan Farm. We want to thank, of course, the great Honest Stableboy. We will see you back here in 2 weeks, March 5th. With a lot of action, a lot of racing in the meantime. Enjoy it. Steve, we'll see you then. Don't get pink eye.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
If Chad Brown still wants me to ride a horse, I'm game.